Hello, everyone. We're here today. We're going to talk about the Odyssey. Now, there's a good reason why I've waited so long to even bring this up. One, uh, all of you people should have read this in high school or college or at least pretended to or looked at the cliff notes. So, who doesn't know the story? Why do you need to worry about the actual story? Well, you don't. You've read it, you've heard about it. 800 million other people on the internet have already gone over everything that's happened in the story. So you should know it by now. Or you should know some pseudo intellectual's version of it. But you don't need me to go over it. That's where we're at. So I'm not. I've waited this long because I wanted to see where the box office lined up. Mm. I wanted to see what the hype was, if the controversy was worth it, if literally any of it mattered. When this movie was since this movie started getting made, there's just been controversy and set leaks and complaints and people saying things, and then the casting got dropped, and then more controversy, and then more arguments, and it got political. And then we found out that instead of having an Achilles character, that was removed, and instead we got Elliot Page inserted as random soldier to kind of take that mantle, but it served the different way that the story was being told by Christopher Nolan because he's not going off of a traditional translation. So it got even more political. I I'll be honest, I saw this opening weekend. My theater wasn't empty, but it definitely wasn't super full. I'd say it was probably 85%. And given that it was an XT theater, I was expecting more. I know there were theaters that were like completely wall to wall packed. Full disclosure, my theater does get packed for certain movies, but it is one of the farther out ones in the city, and it doesn't have the XD prestige and the Screen X style that a lot of the other ones do. It's a Cinemark, but it's not one of the bigger ones. This one is a little bit of an outlier. The way you get your concessions is totally set up different from all of the other ones, right down to, it's self-serve drinks, self-serve popcorn, pizza, everything. You just ask for what you want, they hand you the popcorn, everything else you just get it yourself. It's completely different. It's more cafeteria style than the other ones. The seating is different. The seats actually lay completely flat. It's very easy to fall asleep here. So I don't know if that makes a difference to why it wasn't super full, but it was. But looking at it, I don't know that the movie was worth the hype. Was this a good Nolan movie? Yeah, it was pretty decent. I don't think it was bad. Christopher Nolan is doing Christopher Nolan things, and that's, gonna be how it is forever. He is always gonna do things his way. He shoots things a certain way. He likes to try and innovate. He likes to try and do weird things. Uh, Oppenheimer in this one, he couldn't just make the solution to the problem's time, which was fun. But this was really an interesting one. It's not something that I think needs a synopsis breakdown, other than to say that the main differences that I noticed or that I saw and that I agree with other people saying is that in the more traditional translations that we've all read of the Odyssey, it's a lot more of a story about a man dealing with his hubris and the fallout of his hubris. And this one seemed to like try and modernize it, I guess, by looping in more conventional ways of looking at it. Like, oh, it was PTSD, there was regret. He didn't want to go home. He didn't want to remember things. He didn't think he deserved it. When, the traditional story was a little bit more along the lines of man thinks he's so badass, he gives God's middle finger. God's return from middle finger. And it takes him 20 years to get home when it should have taken him, you know, a tenth of that time. So it's not a bad thing. It didn't take away from the movie. We still had all the same big notes. It was just formatted different. And the different format didn't make it bad. It didn't take away from anything. It's just you had to go in full blank slate, just ready to see it and view it and then judge it afterwards. If you were one of these people that went in with full preconceived notions about the casting, about the story changes, about the source material, the translation version that he used, you probably weren't going to have a good time. You were probably looking to have a bad time, or you were just looking to nitpick it. Not that that's a bad thing. I mean, this is this becomes a question of what kind of movie do you want to see? What kind of films do you want produced? If it's got classic source material, a story that is a couple thousand years old, it's very explicit about its characters. Do you want to see someone change that up for modern audiences and to push whatever narrative it is that they're trying to push at the time? Do you want to see that? Do you care about that? Or is it absolutely nothing to you? Is it meaningless? I think for a lot of people, it became, it transcended just movie making because of the way things are in the greater outside universe right now. Everything's political, everything sucks, or everything is great. Everybody's bad, everybody's minimizing, everybody's maximizing, everybody's pretend victim, everybody's looking to be a victim. It depends on your point of view, you know? Uh, let's be honest. Did did Lupita Nyong'o need to be in this as Helen of Troy? Did Elliot Page need to be in this as completely made up useless character that really served very little purpose until later on in the movie, and even then it was a negligible change from what would have been there anyway? No, neither of them needed to be there. Their characters or them playing those characters didn't add anything to the movie. Did Travis Scott need to be in this? No, God, no. Matter of fact, if there's anything that I thought was completely worthless, it was Travis Scott in this movie. Uh, him here as the bard, the musical storyteller, and the shit tier explanation out of Christopher Nolan that rap is the modern version of storytelling compared to what they had back then. I think is weak. It's like if he really believed that, then Travis Scott would have been up there rapping this because they were already using modern language for a lot of scenes instead of doing what they did. Not because it's classical language, but it was because that put theatrical English put people in the mindset. It helped with the suspension of disbelief, and I think that was probably the biggest problem in having Elliot Page and Lupita Nyong'o in this, is that it kind of screwed up the suspension of disbelief. Having to force John Barenthal's Menelaus to just be the biggest piece of shit on earth by grabbing Lupita Nyong'o's face and going, "This is the face that launched 1,000 ships," and then showing that she's got a scar on half her face and goes, "Oh, well, maybe 500 now." Did we need that? Did that add anything to the story? No, it just, Menelaus is a king of Sparta. He's a piece of shit. Nobody cares. It didn't add anything. It was another waste. It was just a way to have her on screen a little bit more. And I say this in full knowing how people might take it and not giving a shit. I'm going to be totally honest. I think that uncharacteristically for Nolan, Lupita Nyong'o, Elliot Page, Alan Page, whatever you want to call it, and Travis Scott were put into this movie. Their roles were publicized. Specifically, they were publicized more than Zendaya as an aspect of Athena, and more than John Leguizamo as Eumaeus, because it was going to garner controversy. He was controversy baiting. And for Nolan, that's kind of disappointing. I almost expect better out of him. But he did it for two reasons. And I may be totally off base. You can disagree with me if you want. If you do, throw it in the comments. That's fine. I'm willing to hear it out. I am not a friend of Christopher Nolan's. I don't know the guy. I can only look from the outside and assume. But I think that he wants more Academy attention. And the easiest way to get that now is to try and hit their retarded diversity quota BS. And I think that's what this is doing. Him changing the race of these characters and including a quote unquote trans person doesn't serve the story in any beneficial way. It only serves to get the attention of the Academy and to garner more controversy. Because that either positively or negatively is going to affect the box office. You're going to have people that are going to hate watch this, and you're going to have people that are going to watch it solely because, oh, representation. Either way, that's a few more bucks added to the pile, right? So you could take those three out of the movie. Honestly, I think somebody did a count of it. And between the three of them, I think it was like maybe 6 minutes of screen time in a, 2.5 hour movie this thing was? It was ridiculous. So all of that controversy, there were people who spent more time evaluating the impact of these characters and the damage that they're doing to the historical stories and how it's changing things than they actually got screen time in the movie. They were not there to add to the story. They weren't there to take away from the story. What were they there for? Garner controversy, get Academy attention. It's the only reason that you could possibly give me that I might understand for including them. They didn't need to be there otherwise. They didn't add anything to the story. I mean, look at all the characters that we followed around. We followed Puppet Matt Damon, Anne Hathaway, Tom Holland, Robert Pattinson, Charlize Theron. And for the most part, that was it. I mean, the memes at least are funny. At least we've got that.
Somebody get these beggars out of here!
But did any of the rest of it fucking matter? No. No, it didn't. None of it, nothing mattered. These people were put in the movie. They garnered controversy. And I think Nolan might have gotten some of this idea after the first scenes came out of the armor, and there was this little corner of the internet that exploded because that armor is historically inaccurate. But yeah, no one gives a shit. I mean, you can show me armor from the Byzantine Age, the Bronze Age, the Silver Age, Superman's Golden Age. I'm not going to sit there and necessarily know the differences. I may know one's more appropriate or one's more realistic, but let's be totally fair. No one's going to stare at the accuracy of that when I'm sitting there in a movie theater where I just paid $25 to watch the shit in IMAX. That's not happening. I'm there to watch spectacle. I'm there to enjoy it. If the overarching story is good, if it doesn't shit on the historical context completely, I'm going to enjoy that. If I can sit down and enjoy the movie for what it is, which is a film, it's escapism. It's a partial chronicling of what people, whether it be legend or truth or however you want to take it, because of course there's everyone out there saying these are all just 100% myth, nothing ever happened, this is all bullshit, so it doesn't matter. And then there's people like, no, this is how they wrote down things that happened. And maybe it didn't happen exactly that way, but story is story. It's history that's passed down. Cool. I'm fine with that. But don't sit here and tell me that it doesn't change anything when you change the character's race solely for the sake of doing to piss people off. Because then I look at you as making the movie with a less serious intention. At that point, you're making the movie because you want to make the movie, but then you also know that you need to inject this unneeded controversy into it to get more attention, which I don't understand, especially for a Nolan film. Why? It's Christopher Nolan, damn it. This dude has all the cred he needs. There are people out there that will go and see a 2-hour 70mm IMAX version of someone making a shit sandwich from start to finish because it's got Christopher Nolan's name on it. It will make money. Even his unsuccessful, quote unquote, unsuccessful films make money. Part of why, like I said earlier, part of the reason why I waited so long is because I wanted to see what this thing grossed after it's been, weeks. Like this thing is completely out of the public eye. Making this, I don't get views anyway. This is going to get less than views. I'll get negative views, but it's already it's over $1 billion worldwide. I believe the breakdown is over 600 million international and over 500 million in domestic box office. You can take that for what it is. There's a lot of people out there saying that that's attributable to the extremely high box office ticket prices because it is expensive to see movies nowadays, particularly 70 millimeter IMAX movies, which this movie was filmed in 70 millimeter IMAX. But it's also very expensive to make those movies, so maybe you want to hedge your bets. I don't know. Maybe that's what Nolan was going for. Maybe he just wanted to keep that movie on people's minds. But I can tell you this, I don't know a single person that went to see this more than once. Not one person. Of everyone I know that sees it, of all my friends that go to see movies, including me, and I've seen some movies in theaters 8 or 9 times. This I saw once and I was good. It wasn't earth-shattering. It did some cool stuff. I will say that it did do fun things. The way that they shot things was very cool. I think it was very innovative. If anything, I'm probably more interested in the behind the scenes, how the movie was made, than I actually was in the movie itself. Like I will probably invest more time in that. It's like the scene of watching Tom Holland as Telemachus walking through the field going to shoot arrows and train with John Bernthal's character of Menelaus when he was giving him advice. Learning how they shot that was incredibly interesting. Because if you don't know much about IMAX cameras are loud as hell. And apparently 70 millimeter IMAX cameras are even louder. Like these things will fuck up shots. And a lot of people do recording afterwards or they'll dub over because it is just so loud when you're actually filming, or they film from further back. And to get the close-ups that they wanted for these shots, Nolan and his crew had sound reduction boxes built around the cameras and then used mirrors so that not only could Tom Holland and John Bernthal walk side by side and carry the conversation naturally, but that they could be looking into the camera and see each other and carry the conversation that way so that they still got the proper angle on the shot. So that's cool. That's innovative. That's the kind of thing that I want to see. That's the kind of thing I think you should be winning your Academy Award for, not, oh, I inserted random people here and then I pissed off half the internet. Granted, I guess in this case, he's probably winning both because now he's done both. So, cool, I guess. But, like that was awesome. Or just getting really short people to wear the armor of Matt Damon and Benny Safdie. Oh, excuse me, not Benny Safdie. Himesh Patel, who is Odyssey's second in command with Matt Damon and the rest of the soldiers when they get to the island of the giants, right? How did they do that? They just got really short people to wear their armor, shot it from a good angle, and then got a bunch of really tall Nordic dudes that are all like almost 7 foot tall to wear the armor and then just walk up on them, which gave the proper proportions to make it look like they walked up on giants. Practically done, beautifully executed. That shot in the movie, it was so damn short though. I kind of wish that had gone on longer and it wasn't as chaotic as it actually was, because it looked so good. That shot was beautiful. The way they did it, the environment, the forest, the trees, the little bit of fog that was coming around, the way they just pop out of things. It was gorgeous. And it was so well done. Like that's the kind of shit I want to see. That's why I'm here. That's what I'm here for. And people getting upset initially about Zendaya being in it. The only reason I cared that Zendaya is in it is because I'm kind of getting tired of seeing her. Like, I get it. She's an attractive woman, but she doesn't need to be in fucking everything, dude. She's turning into the female version of Pedro Pascal. And that dude, I'm fucking sick of seeing him. And she's getting there. You know, her, and now it's not only that, it's her and Tom Holland being packaged together and fucking everything. You know, they're in Spider-Man together, which is cool. I'm gonna be making I've got everything prepared. I just need to voice over my Spider-Man video. Sneak peek on that one. I was a little disappointed that they're not kind of exiting MJ from the fucking series. Like that needs to happen 2 movies ago already. You know, she's there and it makes sense why she's there. She's not necessarily there as Athena. She's also there as Athena. She's there because she was Zendaya's character was initially an acolyte at the Temple of Athena that they desecrated when they took over Troy. And Matt Damon, in his, you know, say it if you want, his PTSD or his guilt or however you want to phrase it, is seeing that acolyte as Athena coming to him to kind of remind him. So it's not necessarily clear, is she really Athena? Is she really just an aspect, or is she just like a ghost in his head tormenting him? Because in this movie, he's not completely the super cocky asshole that caused all his problems purely out of hubris. You know, they do show that at moments, the giant, not the giant, but the Cyclops, they do show it there. That one, that problem he caused purely out of his hubris. He had to talk shit. He had to do the stupid thing, which was cool. I was glad they kept that because it did explain why they had problems later. You know, there were certain aspects of the movie that didn't change. The story did not completely get destroyed and changed into, you know, what a lot of people online were saying was going to be like 100% of 2.5 hours of woke garbage that was just going to ruin your life. It wasn't that. It really wasn't. I Because I know John Leguizamo and his stupid politics and his dumb shit of, well, if you're white, don't come see my movies bullshit. Seeing him in a role, it does ruin my suspension of disbelief. Same thing with seeing Lupita Nyong'o and Travis Scott and Elliot Page. I'm like, goddamn Elliot Page. That first scene where Elliot Page delivers the Trojan horse to the armies of Troy on the beach. Holy shit. That was awkward, bud. God, that was awkward. It, again, it didn't need to happen. It really didn't. And if it did, it didn't need to happen that way. It was weird. It wasn't bad. I mean, they could have left a note and said, "Here's a soldier. We're just sacrificing this soldier to you. Just go ahead and kill him." I mean, the soldier's only like 4'9" and weighs 105 pounds, but you know, we've been here for 10 years and we didn't have food, so they didn't grow, I guess. It just looked awkward. Uh, Elliot Page is not running well in that armor. That armor was very ill fitted, and you know, maybe that was part of it. It was supposed to show that, like, you know, the armor was ill fitting. He wasn't a very good soldier. Was just there, so they didn't mind leaving him. I don't know. There's no explanation for that. There won't be. There's just theoretical assumptions. But you know, at the end of the day, this was not a horrible movie. I don't know that I'll watch it again. And the problem is you're coming after Troy, which also not historically accurate. That movie was not exactly historically accurate. That movie had a lot of its crap in it, and you know, it was still really good though. I could sit down and I could enjoy it. You know, that movie was good. It was shot well, and it wasn't super historically accurate. But I don't know anyone that looks back on Troy and says, "Oh, this is a piece of shit." You know, everyone goes, "Oh, Brad Pitt, yeah, that guy makes a believable and reasonable Achilles." Is he necessarily historically accurate Achilles? No, probably not. No, I really don't think so. Like in certain respects, sure, but overall, no. Did anyone care though? No, fuck no, absolutely not. And I think that's going to be the difference between these two movies. Is that one was made to be a movie. This one was made to get Academy attention. And, I guess you got to decide, what do you care about more? Do you care about having a really good movie? Or do you care about getting the attention of the Academy so you can get some hardware to sit on your desk or in a shelf, or just to, throw some cred behind your name with that you don't need? Well, those are the questions that you have to decide. I guess if anyone does watch this, throw it in the comments. Let me know, what do you think. I'm going to go ahead and just end it there. For me, this movie, honestly, 7 out of 10. And for any eagle-eyed viewers, yes, my scorecard and my spoiler warning card were both inspired by the Smite version of Scylla, which is peak Scylla. There is no convincing me otherwise.